Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TwitchCon. Make some noise. My name is Brian Brushwood. This is my BFF, Mr. Justin Robert Young. We do a show called Night Attack.
It's true, but that's not all that we've ever done, right, Brian?
It's pretty much.
We have,
give or take. I mean,
we immediately invalidated the premise of the panel.
Well, no, you're right. I guess I forgot about all the previous incarnations before there was Night Attack.
Before it was called Night Attack, we've been doing live streams for what is
coming up on 10 years.
10 years.
In 5 months, it'll be our 10-year anniversary.
Making jokes about butts and boners on the internet.
Yeah, and judging other magicians.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so for those of you guys who are uninitiated, on January 1st, 2009, I went live on Ustream TV because I knew that I was very bad. Yeah. Are they still around?
I don't know.
Okay. Because I knew that I needed to build up the skills to be able to speak extemporaneously on the mic and to talk on a one-camera show. And at some point, Justin called in, and magic happened. And I remember afterwards, we were like, man, that was really, really great. The energy was raw. I think we're onto something. And I remember you saying in, I think it was March of 2009, anytime you go live, I will be there.
Yes.
And by 3 years in, I suddenly realized I didn't know how to do a show without Justin Robert Young anymore. And so that became a BB Live show, became NSFW on the Twitch network, which became Night Attack, which is a healthy and very, very robust comedy show, despite lacking two skilled comedians.
Yes, exactly. It's amazing what you can do with zero talent. And we're going to explain to you how that process went.
Yes.
So, we are, again, Brian and Justin. We are / Night Attack now. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, as we have for damn near 10 years.
Yep.
Pretty much every Tuesday for any version of our show, we've done that at that time slot. And this was the world before. This is the world, the primordial world of live streaming. A BB Live show comes to Justin TV in 2007. These are very poorly made panels. I'm just going to let you know. They're not going to get better. These were the benefits of what we found on Justin TV when we first started streaming there. Number one, a functioning chat, a product centered on community. Even then, Justin TV was very much built community forward, and that's something that it should shock nobody that some other, even like larger, YouTube and Facebook have tried to do it, but no one's really been able to crack live chat, which is something that Twitch has always been, or Justin TV was, even at the very, very beginning. And, also latency was good. I mean, for what live streaming was back then.
Sure, especially now understand that latency matters when it comes to feeling that connective tissue with you and your audience. And when it's, especially in a comedy podcast, when you ask a question, what's a funny album title for an album that does not exist, it matters that you wait 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 before you start getting those responses. And in the early days, we had good latency.
And that was really important because what we found very early on was we were a live show. We were also a podcast. We became a podcast, and we found an audience there. But the magic of it, and even people that dug the podcast, really liked that live experience. And our first kind of taste of what we kind of came to know as blowing up the Death Star was, buckle up, kids. There's going to be a lot of websites that don't exist anymore in this next story. We had game night.
Yeah, so
Double G game night.
Hands up in the air if you remember dig.com. Well, they're still around. You're a real piece of work. So they were Reddit before Reddit, and they were all voted, and we, because we had just enough attention and just enough real-time communication, we wanted to figure out, I don't know, like a hacker wants to try a bunch of doorknobs to see which ones are unlocked. We wanted to know what could be gamed in Dig and so on. And so the funny part was joining us on game night was co-founder of Dig, Jay Adelson.
Yeah.
Much to the consternation of Dig fans.
So we decided we were going to try to get something on the front page of Dig, which at that point in 2007 was like a big deal. That was you kind of getting to the front page of the internet.
Or basically the very top of Reddit. Imagine trying to. The way we put it is like, let's find something. We're not gonna force something big. We're just going to dance on the top of a mountain and see if we can cause an avalanche, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's pick something that's pretty good that all of us can upvote and get this thing started.
So as we're trying to do it, we're seeing that it's having like a certain amount of traction. All of a sudden, we get a call in from the co-founder of the company that we are trying to put the, this. It was a stupid video of like a bear.
Was it?
It was the bear, the
was
viral.
that the dancing bear?
No. It was the fake TV like news report of a.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah. Nobody cares. It's fine.
Nobody cares.
It's fine. Go
Whatever.
ahead. Go ahead.
And so he calls in and he's like, "This is hilarious. I'm going to make sure that we disable all these fraud functions to make it on the front page of Dig." And it was at that moment that, and this is something that I think is very much in the DNA of Twitch, that one little chat idea became an explosion that like reaches so far beyond the chat. And it's like, wow, like we just made magic. And we knew that that was something that we really wanted to be a part of the show and was a part of the show going forward. However, it was not to be with Justin TV. All of a sudden, for many reasons, Justin TV is shuttered, and Twitch, which had been created to live alongside of it, now became the only product that they were offering. So pretty much the home that we had sort of built the DNA of our show now no longer exists. So what do?
We sold out to the man. We took an offer to create a quote-unquote brand new show on a network that provided their own hosting, also which had a robust chat room, low latency, and the ability for us to interact directly with the fans. One of the things that we realized early on is that the show, yes, we're friends, yes, we try to be funny, but most importantly, this was a coming together of people who wanted to set fire to things and feel powerful.
Yeah.
And so while we were on this network, the Twit network, we played with that, and it was wonderful. It was a great way to adopt somebody else's platform and parasitically make friends with everyone, so that eventually we could jump out and go independent and steal a whole bunch of their fans.
Yes. That's a really, really aggressive way of saying befriend people and create lasting relationships.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the other thing was this was the first time that we actually got money for the show. This was, we got to split. Look, we
Get
got
ready.
to split.
Buckle in. Buckle up. Buckle up. Hey, kid, you made it to the big. It's me, Joe Hollywood. I've got a tech network. Yeah, you look pretty good with your B2B live show, but what say you join the big leagues and join our network?
What are you making out there? Oh, nothing? Oh, I got some cold hard cash here for you if you want to come do your show over here.
What have I told you two up and comers that I could give you? $350.
Oh my God, mister!
Per episode.
$350 each?
Not each. That's the total budget. And you have to pay for all your equipment and production and definitely deliver every single episode. Also, please read these 3 ads per episode. Also, be creative. Say them in your own voice. Make them unique, original, but also say exactly these words. Also, 3 times we will schedule a firing of you for having failed to do any of these things in the coming 4 years.
Well,
it's me, Joe Hollywood.
Now, mister, you're telling me that if we keep reading more ads, eventually
I'm sorry,
we see,
are you still in my office? Have you bought new equipment yet? Your feed looks like garbage. It's me, Joe Hollywood.
Joe Hollywood, I'm just saying, if we keep reading these ads, eventually we get some more money, right?
You're still here, are you?
So we had a good time.
Actually, this is actually a really good point, because there are times that you can do something and there are times you cannot do something. We could not do something about the ads that we had to read while we're on the network. We could not do something about the money we were being paid when we were on the network. But we could do something with the attention and the energy of the fans and the audience. And so when you figure out what cannot flex, what you do is you figure out what you can build on top of it. So in my mind, I think of it as we will never own this megaphone, but we do control this megaphone.
Yeah.
When you control a megaphone, what can you do? You can spur people to action. You can capture energy and figure out a way to make money for it. So for us, we were like, okay, let's come up with bonus content that we could do as a pay-per-view special. And it was Justin that nailed it. He said, oh, no, that's great. We'll record a bunch of, off-air stuff. We'll figure out the best stuff. We'll curate it, and we'll release it. And he was the one that said, no. It is not a pay-per-view special. Like, we're going to do a comedy album. And at which point I was like, it was as though he was speaking another language, because I was like, comedy album? That's we're not comedians. We just get on the mic and tell jokes.
Yeah.
How does that make us comedians? and so we ended up releasing an album for $1.99 called Night Attack, which is where the name of our current podcast comes from. And we put it out. Everybody, and we said, wouldn't it be fun? Just like we gamed Dig, what if we were to game the Amazon charts? So we put it on Amazon, and we were like, everybody, guys, it's on the store. Nobody buy it. Nobody buy it until 3, 2, 1, now. And everybody hit go at the same time. And because these things are algorithmic, for the first time, we were able to kind of, penetration test how much our audience could make happen. And so I think we sold, less like, 500, 800 albums all at once. And it was enough to make it number one on Amazon, at which point we threw up our arms and said, we did it, we blew up the Death Star. Flash forward to 7 days later, I'm riding my bike, and I get a freaking spam phone call. And I'm like, hello, hey, what's going on? I'm riding a bike. I'm very healthy. I'm training for a triathlon. It's me, Brian Brushwood. And they said,
Jesus, a lot of oversharing, sir. I mean, we get it. You work out.
Who is this?
Oh, it's a Billboard.
Look, I don't want your magazine. I don't read magazines. Everybody's calling me asking for subscriptions to magazines. What do you want?
No, sir. This isn't about you buying a subscription to Billboard.
Okay.
We need to make sure that we confirm the spelling of your name, because you've made the Billboard charts.
Oh, my gosh.
I have to say it like this. It's in my contract.
So we found out that we were the number 4 best-selling comedy album in the United States, according to Billboard magazine, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, really? At which point we realized, again, we're never going to get more money. We're never going to have more flexibility. We're still going to read other people's ads, and other people who are not us are going to make all the money. This is what it means to be on a network, is you work for somebody else. You have a job, and they are in control, and you are not. But you figure out where you can flex, and we realize, okay, hey, so how exactly does Billboard tabulate all this? And it's like, well, number one, they check more stores than just Amazon.
Yeah.
And so we, second album, Night Attack 2, Enjoy the Garden, we posted both on Amazon and on iTunes, and we made sure, again, to price very competitively at $1.99, and we may have intimated that if you really like the album, you might want to be able to access it both on your home PC and your iPhone, so you might buy it twice from both different outlets.
Maybe a suggested, very likely, relatable problem.
Flash forward. Oh, man, so hard to get up this hill. I hope I do good at this triathlon.
Bring.
Whoa, what's this? Hello, what's going on?
It's me, Ted Billboard again.
I told you I don't want your magazine, sir.
You don't remember the really awesome life moment that we shared before?
I'm sorry, Ted. I just get so emotional when I'm training for a triathlon.
Jesus, this guy. Sorry, I'm in my cubicle with somebody else.
Are you podcasting on the side, Ted?
No! Congratulations! You have the #1 comedy album on Billboard!
I'm sure it's based on actual merit and not a scam we pulled. Click.
This, I really want you guys to realize, this is the DNA of Twitch. Like, what rating is like, you get it could be 12 people, but that 12 people all showing up at the exact same time feels magic, and there's a reason why, algorithmically, this has been our claim to fame, and we didn't realize that that we got it kind of from this live streaming community. Just have everybody do a thing at once. Magic happens when you get everybody to do a thing at once, and it makes everybody feel great, makes everybody feel together, and it's been something that we've used for years now, a decade.
Sure. Also, it's really a fun thing to be taking a test and have all of the answers scrolling constantly on the bottom third of your screen.
Yes.
Listen to your audience, because all the best ideas, all you have to do is make sure to frame. We always used to refer to our chat realm, as we referred to them, as our staff writers. And the agreement was always, we're going to steal all your best jokes, and we're not going to give you credit. We're going to act like we thought of it in the moment.
Yes.
We have essentially evolved that position. But at the time, it was great because everybody started competing to throw the best one-liners, and we would just pluck our favorite ones out of there.
And that's another thing that we really have learned, that no matter where you go, and Twitch is great at cultivating awesome live audiences and an awesome community, but you get the chat room you deserve. It is my favorite thing to say. It's Tom Merritt's quote, but you live by it. And when you are building a community, the effort you put in is going to be the effort you get out. If you see that your community is acting crazy or behaving poorly, like this, it's one of the things that you need to take personal responsibility for, and it's something that we've tried to pride ourselves that have a two-way dialogue with your audience. And sometimes it's odd, and sometimes it's fulfilling, and sometimes it's hard. The conversations are difficult to have, but man, all that effort you put in does come back. Like it is the value of your community.
So your goal is to start with a spark and start a fire. Your goal is to harvest the energy of that fire into a community. Make it a simple message about what you are about. Every Tuesday night, we set fire to the internet. We're up to mischief, but we are not crossing the line. We are fun and funny, but we are not causing harm to anyone. And that means you need to create a culture of self-policing so that you can take all that energy, bottle it up, get to a point where it's time to blow up the MFN Death Star, and you get to make that happen.
Yes. So we leave Twit in 2014. Night Attack is now born. So NSFW show goes away. Night Attack shows up the next week. Here were the benefits. Number one, we had to figure out what we were doing. And also, by this time, Twitch, the doors are still closed for Twitch.
It's really weird, too. It's like, oh, man, we're going independent. All right, we're Justin TV. And we go to a haunted castle that's empty. We're like, oh. And there's a sign that says Twitch next door. We're like, oh, knock, knock, knock. And we're like, hey, it's me, Twitch. What can I do for you, little kids?
Yeah, we want to stream. We used to stream on your service.
And a lot of people want to stream what games you play. It's me, Ted Twitch.
I don't know. Emotional games? Games of fancy? Like,
unless you're playing a game, get bent. Click.
Jesus. Ted Twitch, man.
Real
person. So we couldn't do it, and the
although we did have some insane ideas, and some of our friends actually tried these ideas. We talked about, like, what if we just put in the upper corner just a game of tic-tac-toe animation that played constantly, and then did a comedy show. We were like, yeah, we're just big fans of tic-tac-toe. Look at this.
But also, it's like even if we were to evade, like, that kind of takes the fun out of it. It takes the whole point of being on there is because it's a cool community. And it's like, what, we're like the rebel weirdos? we're the tic-tac-toe boys? Like,
yeah.
Actually, that would have been a way better idea. Like, why didn't we?
We could have been the Toe Boys.
Imagine we could have had a meet and greet at this point.
You're like, what's up, Toe Boys?
Yeah, we're the Toe Boys.
Like, where my circles at?
X's rule. Well, we could have had. So instead, we actually relied on our community. This was the time that our community really came to our aid.
Saved us. We needed an escape hatch, and so the community put together a website. They put together a CDN. They put together, essentially, I think of it as us being in an escape bubble. Our show did not grow during this time because everybody knew we were ejecting from something else. So during this time, we were in our own little bubble, and there were some people who wanted us to stay in the bubble forever. But we also knew that staying in the bubble would not be, there's no path for growth by living in our own bubble.
This was the trade-off. So we went from a network that, by the very nature of the fact that we had a logo that other more popular shows also shared, there would be crossover. You know, we would guest on other shows. We would have a connection to them. We'd have a connection to the hosts. And so there was just a natural platform for people to be like, oh, okay, I like that guy as a guest. Now I'm going to watch his show. I'm looking for other shows. I'm going to now look at the other offerings from this network, and now I'm going to go there. But we had the trade-off of we got to read ads, we can't curse, we can't do everything that we want, and periodically they like to try and fire us because we've crossed a line. That was our trade-offs that we had to make. Should I not have said that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a calendar item that said fire Brian and Justin, and then we got on the phone call, and then they were like, it was us and the
We'd
person in charge.
we'd screwed up with an ad read.
It was us, a boss, and the advertiser
Sponsor that we had offended.
And this apparently they were going to cut off our heads like in front of the sponsor to let them know they were serious. And so, but we didn't know this, but somebody on the inside knew that was the plan. And so we get on the phone call and they're like, hey, so we're all here. Here's us and Brian and Justin. And we just want to talk about that ad. And then the advertiser said, yeah, no, a little bit over the line saying that spam is a rapist. But outside of that, we love your ads. We think you're great, and we cannot wait to continue to support your show.
Just literally that line.
At which point the
never
boss
repeat.
says,
But other than that, please, we don't want to hamper your creativity. We love your ads.
Just no Hitler, no R word, and we love you guys forever. At which point the boss says, yeah, that's what's great about Brian and Justin. They're real creative, those guys.
Oh, man. So, yeah. We got rid of that, but
oh my God, that was a real thing. Sorry,
it definitely happened. So at that point, we now are in almost the inverse. Now we have full range to do everything that we possibly want. We have no restrictions. We have no ads, but we have no growth. Like we are now just in a place where you have to come to our website. There's no like lateral movement, and like we're kind of looking over at Twitch and we're like, oh man, that would be a really cool place.
That certainly seems like the YouTube of live gaming.
Yeah.
It'd be great if we could get over there and get discovered and have guests. And,
the one big thing that did happen at that point though is we got on Patreon, and Patreon changed the game fundamentally. And I just want to take a real quick moment here in terms of the like actual lessons.
Sure.
We made a Patreon. Brian had wanted to do a Patreon for about a year before, and I was like, yeah, come on. We're going to involve money in the connection with our audience. Brian, of course not. This is the true artistic spark, is a free audience. And then we left the network, and we're like, oh, let's try Patreon. And we had one level.
Yeah.
Initially.
Okay. So originally we had have different tiers on Patreon, and we had at 300. Look, there are things contractually we weren't allowed to say at the time, so we made a tier at $351, and the tier was called "We Get a Raise." And we're very happy that we reached that tier very quickly,
almost immediately. But in fact, it became like a job. It was the Night Attack Patreon from literally like week one became something that I was able to quit my job for.
And that's for both of us. For those of you guys who do not know, I was touring full time as a stage performer doing a blood and guts magic show at colleges across the country. And it turns out that all of a sudden, when the original Patreon numbers came in, I looked and I realized that's one community college gig every single week that I no longer have to do. And I felt that moment. If you've ever seen the movie Fight Club, I was like, we can have Fight Club every night now. All of a sudden I could always plan to be home on Tuesday nights and do it. And
because it's a paying job.
Yes. And it fundamentally altered. I mean, that was the beginning of the end of my touring career. I was on a hamster wheel of constantly touring all around, and it broke that, and suddenly we were able to focus on our Twitch stream full time. But the important part of the story is that harvesting of the goodwill that we had built up.
That's the key.
6 years, 5 or 6 years of showing up and asking nothing, providing value. I guess we did ask, for people to do little things like play in our crazy games. Let's upvote a thing.
Sure.
We did comedy albums for $1.99 or $3.99. Little asks.
Little asks, like having a totally community written erotic fiction novel.
That definitely hit number 3 in iBooks.
Number 3 on iBooks.
Yeah. Little things.
We took all the money.
Actually, we did spend it on a party.
We did spend it on a
for
party.
ourselves.
We did.
But the important
everyone was invited.
The important thing is that you have to be judicious about harvesting. Remember, what you're doing is you're building a beautiful garden. Anytime you make content that matters to somebody out there, what you're doing is you're building a garden. And the answer, the question, of course, is to what point? There's a lot of reasons to build a garden. Maybe you're a big, fat, ugly, environment-killing, multinational conglomerate spewing dust up into the atmosphere, but you built this to make yourself look prettier, right? And that's all you want out of the garden is to look pretty. Or maybe you have a beautiful garden and you want to rent out this 2-foot square to the guy from Dollar Shave Club so he can stand on it and shout about his awesome razors. Or you may decide that you want to harvest directly from the audience and say, hey, how many of you guys can afford just $1 an episode? If you can't afford it, that's cool. And then you're able to harvest and keep it healthy. Remember, you're building a garden and you have to figure out a way to harvest from that garden.
And that was, the biggest thing about going to a fully independent thing. But at a certain point, we got wind that Twitch was relaxing their gaming-only stuff that they were spreading back in. And when you talk about one of those really awful conversations that you have to keep a healthy community healthy, this was a huge, very painful, huge moment where we had to kind of decide, well, where does this live? Where does this content live when we've made and the community rallied on a level that we had never really seen before to save the show, to make a home for the show?
We had been in the escape bubble long enough to begin to see the beginnings of attrition. And it's not that anybody suddenly hated us. It's that month over month, people forget that their credit cards are tied to their Patreon accounts. How many guys have a Patreon? Hands in the air. Okay, so, and how many guys see that dip at the beginning of every single month when their credit cards get declined or whatever? We were starting to see that, and we realized, like, we don't have a brand that's strong enough to be a gravity well to attract, big famous talent to come join us. We need to be in an environment where we can cross-pollinate, where we can talk with other people, where we can play the games we've been playing for the past decade and involve other communities. By this point, Twitch had, I felt like in some way, the weird thing we were grasping at 6, 7, 8 years before had finally matured on its own and become made real by Twitch, and that we had the chance to go back to the same game we were playing at the very beginning as fully independent, as an opportunity to play, build a community, build an audience, and to interact with others in funny and kind ways. And it was a tough thing because there were a lot of people who in our community were like, we love being in the bubble.
Well, it was our clubhouse. Like it was working. It existed. It was a thing that was there for us. But the problem with Twitch, or not the problem, but just this was the bargain, is that, like, look, when you can't be half in with Twitch, like, you have to be in the chat. Like, if you want to have emotes and bits and subs matter, like, this it's kind of an all or nothing proposition. So we couldn't even split the baby and say, like, okay, well, we'll stream on Twitch, and that way we don't need a CDN. We did
try for a little bit. We tried dipping a toe. You can't dip a toe into the Twitch waters. The majority of our people were still watching from inside the bubble, and they were participating in a separate chat room inside the bubble. And there was and then meanwhile, I don't want to speak for the audience, but I perceived it as some people felt like there was a real chat and a real place to watch and a not real place.
Well, look, this is again when you have a community and it's all about, hey, it's us versus the world. We spent 7 years blowing up Death Stars and doing cool stuff, like, and this is all for you guys. This is a collective effort. We are one, right? We are Venom, and then you want to make a decision that is tough, but you think is for the betterment of the show, that it's like, we can see new names, we can cross-pollinate, we can get speaking opportunities at large conventions. These things don't exist when
you're in a bubble, when you're half in, half out.
And also, it's like, we felt that, again, we've been doing this for 7 years. We were doing this before Twitch was Twitch. So it's like, why don't we if we're playing the game, this is the place where the game is played. We think there's a lot of people that would enjoy us. But, man, I'd be lying if I said that couple months wasn't the most kind of gut wrenching to go against when literally your entire brand is we listen to our audience, we listen to our audience, we love our audience, and then a large, the most active part of our audience is like, up yours. Like, this is bad. I don't know. Can I curse? Have we cursed already?
Yeah, dude. Up yours. That's pretty
fuck
heavy.
You.
Oh.
Stop doing this. Like,
it was rough. It was rough. I would like to say, and I don't know what alternate timelines look like, but in a darker alternate timeline, Twitch did not make it. They did not do as good a job as they did alternate timeline, not this timeline. If the emotes weren't as fun, if the community, if the chat wasn't as good, if the latency didn't get as snappy as it is now, that could have been a wrong decision. But I'm so glad we live in this timeline.
Yes,
where all of those things worked out great.
Where we didn't mortgage our home so we could go to like YouTube Live.
Yes, exactly. Oh, we got a question in the audience. There you go. Stand up to the mic, sir. Also, just flex them muscles.
No, I just wanted to contribute because I when you guys made the switch, you guys actually when you announced the switch, like I'd been streaming on Twitch for maybe 4 or 5 months at this point in time, and it was adding incredible growth to what I was doing. It was changing all the metrics.
That's because they rolled out music before.
They rolled out creative, but and it was really funny because actually where that happened was I was hanging out with you guys at your place and I was talking about like I don't know what to do to take my I don't know where to go with my music right now. I don't like I'm putting out albums, and every time I put out a new record I get a little Spotify bump, but that's all I get. Like I don't like, do I tour more? What do I do? And I do it all the time. I make music all the time. What do I do? And Justin was like, hey man, like if you do it all the time, you should really look at just doing Twitch. They just opened up creative. And if you're going to do it, like you should involve everybody in your whole process. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like I'll check that out. So I started doing it, and all of a sudden, and right out the gate, I started seeing a transformative. So when you guys made that announcement, you know, and like again, there was really serious backlash from the community, and I called you guys, and I was like, hey man, like I think you're doing the right thing because. The thing is, because what Diamond Club does, what you guys do really well is you have this amazing community, and that community engenders other people that feel that same sense of community. And now you've inculcated and created this thing, and now you're taking it to a place where there's 100 million people showing up every single month, falling in love with Twitch, and they're just roaming around and experiencing Twitch. And so now you've got these people, and it's not just you guys; it's everybody that's in the chat realm, everybody that's in the Diamond Club are ambassadors of your message and ambassadors of what you do. And so the thing is, and so I know that they don't see it right now, but it's going to be a good thing for everybody because everybody knows the magic that is the Diamond Club, and we're now taking it to a much bigger pool. You know, so it's like you're now the infection entering into a live human body. You know, like you've been lurking around.
Yes. And now we've entered a much larger human body. Thank you, Twitch.
And that again, so some of the benefits of being back on Twitch, discoverability, other revenue streams with bits and Twitch Prime. I mean, oh my God, Twitch Prime, changing the game, baby. Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
the app,
Ted Twitch.
I mean, look, it's easy to overlook how important having that app is, and the app just being in your pocket, being able to buzz when people go live, being on the same platform that all these other gigantic streamers are on. Like it is just something that you don't realize how powerful it is until you walk into it from out in the cold for 7 years.
Sure.
And even like we had an awesome app for DiamondClub.tv. It did a lot of the same functionality, but again, it's being a part of a larger ecosystem that really kind of makes that sing. And then, the fact that Twitch is just synonymous. It is a brand name. It is Coke and Pepsi. When you think of it, you understand this is where live streaming happens. Do I want to watch people in a live format where I can type something in the chat and they're going to say something back to me? That's Twitch. People know it. We're good at it. It just kind of made sense. So, Is there anything else that we've learned that we haven't touched on?
No, we've learned nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what. We can totally open up
let's do questions.
for questions here now. So if you guys can just go ahead because we are live streaming here. If you can just go to the microphone.
And by the way, just literally any question just to kick things off. If you're a fan or if you're a independent creator yourself or if you have a funny story that you want to tell or a poop joke, just literally anyone get on a mic.
Literally, like if somebody can go like up to the mic so it's not like super awkward. Here we go.
I didn't think I have to do this.
Right,
hold on. I've got counterfeit money.
We do have counterfeit money.
$50
We are going to now pay
money
for every question.
Okay, here we go.
Asked.
$50 counterfeit money. What's your question?
Well, let's see how good the question is first.
All right.
I have a question. Looking at other communities that are not on Twitch already, what do you think could be like the next 3 big things that could use like a live audience built around them on top of Twitch platform? It's like we already have cooking, comedy, music. What other things?
What are other like things that would benefit from being a community on Twitch? What was that worth?
I have a lot of 50s, so here's a 50.
$50. That's a 50 fake dollar question.
Please don't spend that. That's not real money.
It's literally illegal to spend it.
Man, it feels. Man, I hesitate to even say this. Like now that the doors are open, there's 3 things that make a successful online video platform: niche, type, and spice. This is something we do a whole class on. Niche is the unmet need of the universe, the thing that everybody wants that nobody is doing right now, and maybe the whole universe doesn't know they want it. Type is whatever it is you do. Spice is what can you add to it that makes it interesting, right? And so. In this regard, we were shooting a Modern Rogue episode at a jazz club, and the dude had all of these amazing robotic 4K cameras. He had an algorithm that automatically would switch periodically. He had this amazing stage. Like every time you see a classic golden era of jazz, 1930s, 1940s club in a movie, that's what it actually looks like. And I asked, I was like, is anybody live streaming this on Twitch? And he said, what's Twitch? And in this case, I realized, I was like, dude, people who are into jazz are really into jazz. And they want a place to hang out. There's somebody in Germany who you have 7 top-tier jazz bands in every single week. You have content. Everybody's agreed. They're already signing releases. You are primed and good to go.
Shit would be huge in Frankfurt, dog.
That's what I'm saying. But all you need is like 7 people from every country to be diehard fans, and you could conquer the world.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I would say just more of everything, but specifically like what Brian said, anything that has a hardcore community, if people are really into it, they want to see it done live.
And by the way, here's how you know that you found a niche: is project yourself theoretically into this space, look around, and say, who's my competition? If the answer is nobody, that is free territory for you to claim. And by virtue of being first, you have claimed it. You get to legitimately say the world's #1 Twitch stream dedicated to blank.
Blank.
All right, right over here.
Hey, gentlemen. Glad to see you guys out here. I know you guys both have supportive, significant others, which helps make the jump to independence. But I have a 2-part question. The first part is there Twitch without Patreon, or is there Patreon without Twitch? And the second part is, without getting into numbers, what's the percentage of independent night job compared to the day job where you decide
out of our total income?
No, I'm saying, at what point do you jump ship from the old day job?
Man, it's tough because in the case of Night Attack is 1 star in a constellation, a shared constellation of gigs that Justin and I both independently do. So there is a moment. If you currently have a stream that is bringing in some amount of income, then consider it 1 data point. I would strongly encourage everyone here to take a moment and figure out exactly how diversified you are. If you're making all the money in the world, but it's all tied to 1 game, I'm going to say that is not a portfolio I would recommend holding on to, because games can lose popularity. What you want to do is constantly be diversifying so that at any one time, any one of these siloed ideas, these properties, these independent on Mondays I do Cord Killers. We do weird things.
Yep.
Tuesdays I do Night Attack. Thursdays we're usually shooting Modern Rogue or Scam School. On top of that, I'm doing live events and touring or whatever. Any one of these could blow up. And it wouldn't be great. I would not be happy, but we would survive. And I think both of us figure out how to diversify.
So here's the other thing. When it comes to quitting your job, you want to go through 3 phases. Number 1, I'm making money at this other thing that's not my day job. And that's a great phase. Then there's an even better phase. Oh my God, I'm making dual incomes because I'm making as much money doing this other thing as I am doing my day job. 2 incomes, hooray! That's an amazing phase. And then comes the 3rd phase. This day job is really annoying me, so much so that I'm going to give up one of my incomes. Yeah. And at that point, when you're ready to do, when the frustration of the time that your day job is taking out of this other thing, that's when you leave. For me.
Also,
that's the safest way to do it.
2 things. First of all, anybody who's serious about quitting their day job to do what they actually love should read the book Quitter by John Acuff, in which he strongly encourages everybody to rethink your day job, not as the pain in the butt thing that you have to do, but they are your patron. For some reason, they're willing to keep your lights on and keep you fed while you spend the remaining 16 hours of your day building your own empire. Only when your empire gets so big that that 8 hours you're giving them is an inconvenience do you consider quitting in order to free up more bandwidth for the thing that's making more money. Second of all, understand there are many, many different types of currencies. Do not think,
including this one. So just here, come here. Here's 25 fake dollars.
Not
just pass
currency.
that back.
Just pass that back.
Not
to
currency.
Yeah,
illegal.
Do not spend it.
It's illegal to spend
There are
it.
different types of currency. You are not doing Twitch for the ad revenues. You are not doing it for the subscriptions. You are doing it for the mind share that you are earning in your tribe. You are building a tribe, and there are ways to harvest that in a way that is healthy for the tribe and builds it up for everybody, and there are ways to do it that are unhealthy. When you sell ads in the mind share that you've earned in your tribe, you are harvesting possibly, if it's a bad, imagine, I don't know, hey, fakebonerpills.com, they're great. Give all your money and you'll have fake boners. I totally believe them. You are chipping away at the goodwill that you have in there. But instead, if you build something...
Would it be made of tin?
Here's my point. There's a bunch of different ways to make money and stay alive. Yes, Twitch ads are part of them. Yes, subscriptions are part of them. Patreon, I would say, is a disproportionately large part of it for us because that is direct contribution. That is somebody saying, I love you exactly this many dollars per episode. There's also, the general term is merch, but the problem with merch is what you're really doing is saying, buy this because it has my logo on it. If you really want to make money in selling a product, figure out, hey gang, what is it that all of you need that I can put in a store for you? And then they will give you the answer. And you're like, also, it's got my logo on it. And then now you're getting somewhere.
Yeah. We got another question.
Hello.
Hello.
I never saw Justin TV, and I just had like a simple question about your thoughts and kind of a 2-parter.
Go ahead.
What categories do you find yourself, or are you guys streaming under most often? And what do you think of the category breakup that they've done recently with the non-gaming?
Yeah, Bryce,
can we get Bryce to come on up
Ladies
here?
and gentlemen, this is our producer, Bryce Neshcom Castillo.
Hey, by the way, here's the benefit of doing something for 10 years is eventually you get to a place where somebody better than you is able to handle all the technical details. Bryce is very plugged in on all this stuff. Hi.
So we are almost always under the talk shows category.
Hey, give $50 to Bryce. Don't spend that, Bryce.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Also,
you know what? This is a pay upgrade for me. So we're normally under.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bryce.
So we are normally under talk shows. I think now they split it out from talk shows and gaming talk shows. And yeah, they have the new tag system, which is actually really nice because we have a variety of different shows that we do, and they all have different tones. So, for example, with Cord Killers, we can say that's a talk show, and also say that that's news.
Right.
When we have Night Attack, we can say that that's an interview show, and it's kind of an Ask Me Anything. So being able to have that fine level of detail is really nice. I do wish that they could add even more tags because they're good, and I think they have a form for that. So I'm excited to see that system expand.
Would you agree with what I perceive is more important than obsessing about this tag, this subcommunity, that discoverability? Like if you earn the interest of your tribe, they will follow you to. I mean, certainly they followed us out of Justin TV to a network, to an independent CDN, and back to the grandchild of Justin TV.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that the breakup was really good. I thought that IRL, in general, I think very obviously kind of became a lot of different things and sort of lost the definition of what it was initially kind of there for. So I think anytime that you can click on a category and see closer to what you assumed you were going to see before you clicked on that category, the better off it is, right? Because it's going to mean that, before you clicked on IRL, and sometimes it would be somebody out in the world, and then there would be 9 people doing ASMR, and then there would be me, right? And like nobody's like, oh, finally, all of it at once.
Oh, hey Justin, did you? I'm just breaking. I'm just grabbing this money here. Isn't it funny?
But I also love the just chatting thing. Like that's I think a great form that I've really taken advantage of for the politics stuff, just because that's a great way for me to define myself, because there's not a lot of people that talk about politics on Twitch. Normally it's the one thing you want to avoid, and I can differentiate myself by saying, no, look, come yell a thing at me and we'll have a discussion, and it's fun.
All right, question.
No problem, thank you.
Hi, so my question is about using social media to get people who don't normally watch Twitch to watch your non-gaming content, and how that's affected your growth.
I'll tell you what, man. People tend to love the clubhouse that they pick to hang out in, and you can fight it or you can learn to speak the language of it. There are an awful lot of people who watch my YouTube channel, Scam School, who will never, ever follow me on Twitter. There are people on Twitter who I will never. It's astonishing to me. On paper, you would I think I have 1.7 something million Twitter followers.
Not a brag.
We promised real numbers here.
We did.
and I'll say, hey, we're live right now, and I'll be surprised if 50 of them click over. In general, people really don't like going outside of their comfortable bubbles. And those 50 people are almost certainly people who are already comfortable in the Twitch ecosystem. And they're like, oh, thanks for the reminder, bro. And then they jump right in. So I would say, in general, my brand on Twitter is I try to speak the Twitter language and only, post 2-line jokes or pictures of my daughters or whatever. I speak Twitter, but then that's different from what I speak on Twitch, which is different from what I speak on YouTube.
I would actually say for us, it was not how do we get people onto Twitch? It was great, people know what Twitch is. We're not sending them to our own website that they don't have any connection to, right?
Here,
there's
$50.
please, there's
please get this fake money.
There's fake money here for you, so please.
Counterfeit money, don't spend it.
Don't literally, I'm begging you.
Please don't spend it.
It's very illegal.
But one of the nice things about social media is, you can use it as a
great bit. We should do this every time.
You can use it as a means to try to let people know, oh, the thing's on. You try to cross-pollinate on a different network, but it also gives people who are on, say, Twitter, the opportunity to spread that message, right?
Yeah.
The people who are already were going to watch, now they can click the retweet button, and then their friends can see and share that information. So it's an attempt at organic spread.
All right. Any other questions?
I think we got time for probably one
more.
Two
one
more.
last question.
We got one more. I mean, how much
hold
fake
on,
money do we have
hold on.
here?
How about 5 $2 bills? 2, 3, 4,
5 fake dollar
5
bills.
counterfeit $2 bills. to Whoever has the best question.
We just need one question. Literally, could be anything.
Right here. All right, go for it. Shout it out.
Jump
over. Get on
sorry,
mic.
just so we can have it recorded. This is gonna be a great bit.
I swear to God, if the question is, can I have 5 $2 bills?
What is your favorite color? All of you?
Ooh, favorite color?
Green.
Good enough.
Here, take your $2 bills. That's
Yeah.
fine. It doesn't matter. Hey guys, we are Night Attack. You can see us every Tuesday night.
Wait, what's your favorite color?
What's that?
Wait, come on.
We got to answer her question.
We got to really answer the question, man. I say mine's purple.
Cheap pop. Cheap pop. Cheap pop.
I don't know if it picked up on the mic, but there's a man in the front row who just grabbed both of his sides of his coat and just yelled, "Shill! Shill!"
I like gray. I like gray. It goes with a lot of stuff. So there we go.
Like geese. Twitch.tv/Night Attack, people. We love you guys. We hope you learned something. Feel free to grab us on our way out. We'll be just hanging around. Ask us whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.